So folks, we are back and I want to get right into this evening's next segment. And I want to open this segment with a short clip as I prepare to introduce my guest. So I'll ask Mr. Director just to run that little clip for me.
Keep counting my blessings and blessings and blessings. Blessings and blessings and blessings. Nah, I still hold my head high.
Welcome back, folks, and well, I think it spoke for itself. Joining me in studio this evening for the first time on the Minority Report is the Member of Parliament for Tobago West, Minister of Sport and Community Development, the Honorable Shamfa Ashaki Kojo. Welcome to the program. Lois.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me, Mr. David. To all of Tobago and Tobago Updates, I saw you this morning and here again tonight. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening.
You know, I wanted us to start off that way because sometimes people forget that you all are human beings just like everybody else. You know, today has been an extremely hectic day for you. It is indeed a challenge functioning in the way that you have to and that the people call upon you to. But one thing I want to note is that I've never heard you complain.
No, you can't complain because you chose this work. Yeah, you chose this work. The people called upon you to serve and you've accepted the call to serve. It's what service is all about. You give so much of your time and your life to this, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a real pleasure and privilege to serve the people I love and the people who raised me, the people who ensure that I was educated and I had access to opportunity. So the least I could do is to serve my people. So it's a pleasure.
Indeed. And I think, MP, it goes without saying, and I know most of, if not all of Tobago will agree, you are definitely one of the hardest working. Sometimes I wonder if you're omnipresent, because one minute you see you in Trinidad, and then by the time the blink of an eye, you're at a function here in Tobago.
I wish we used to get miles for as much as we fly between Trinidad and Tobago, but
yes.
It's a pleasure.
But I want us to get right in this evening with our conversations. There has been a lot taking place in your life with respect to from a ministerial perspective. I want to touch a bit on that. Quite a lot coming out of sports and community development. How has this role, how have you adjusted to the role? And people forget that you're Minister of Sport and Community Development for all of Trinidad and Tobago. So it's not just like with a focal point on just Tobago, but it's widespread. How have you been able to adjust?
I think I came from Ministry of Tourism to Youth and Sport and now to Sport and Community Development. The good thing is that the responsibility for sport and community development in Tobago falls under the remit of the Tobago House of Assembly. So I help. Yeah. So even though the responsibility is primarily on the THA, when groups reach out to me, athletes reach out to me, community entities reach out to me, I make sure and serve no matter where I go and served as a minister, whether it's in tourism, sport, youth, community development, you name it. My business is to ensure that the people of Tobago benefit from whatever my ministry has to offer. So we get to provide support to Tobagonians far and wide. in all that we do. As the only sporting facility in Tobago that falls under the remit of the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, of course, is the Dwight York Stadium. Every other sporting facility falls under the THA. The sporting disciplines in Tobago fall under the THA. We provide support. When they reach out to us, we don't say no or we don't send them back to the THA. As long as they apply on time and they have the relevant documents and so on, we work to the best of our ability to support them.
And again, I would have seen a number of persons benefiting from those particular facilities. Yes. I want to zero in a bit on something you said in terms of programs, and I think this is something in the area of community development that really stood out. There were some programs that you launched, Empower, 40 under 40 and so on, where we saw young persons being thrust into the forefront, but not just as influencers, but more taking up leadership role to become mentors.
Right.
What was the idea behind it, and what was the outcome, the objective, and how successful has it been in your opinion?
I think that has been the most exciting part of my journey as a politician, because I get to walk from community to community, listen to the cries of people and their concern, and then develop programs to treat with the issues or to treat with whatever they have raised with me. So programs like 40 under 40 programs I created and then work with the ministry to develop and then implement. So 40 under 40 was all about changing the narrative for young people. And we wanted to find 40 persons under the age of 40 nationwide to show young people that it's not only about getting 5 subjects. God made everybody with some skills, some talent, and we can showcase young people doing fabulous things, young people who didn't choose the usual doctor, lawyer, teacher, that our parents usually hope for us, and we found singers, entertainers, persons in the fashion industry, sportsmen, showing youngsters that, hey, yes, it's good to get your 5 subjects. By all means, go to school, get that. But if for some reason you were not able to accomplish that in your first school, there are so many different avenues and opportunities available in Trinidad and Tobago. After 40 under 40, we had projects like Project Leap, where we go from community to community, training, equipping young people with skills to prepare them for the world of work and so on. In the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, I've had the pleasure of introducing Empower TT. It's very, very close to my heart because it's about giving young men another chance at life. Those that had dropped out of school, no sense of direction, looking for help, looking for guidance. I believe in mentorship because it's good to learn from somebody else's story and somebody else's experience. And it's all about connecting people and helping persons to lift up others and, just take them on a whole journey where they can believe in themselves. I'm all about empowerment and enriching the lives of people. So we also create I Choose Sports.
Yes.
I Choose Sports. I'm excited about that too. I Choose Sports is about changing the culture in schools or changing our culture, period. We come from a background where some old school parents and even teachers and principals believe that sports pulls you away from your academics, and athletics and academics cannot go hand in hand. You have to choose one or the other. And it's about showing that a better student is a student athlete, and sports gives to you or helps to train you in different things and different ways that nothing else can. It's about networking, socializing, physical fitness, making friends, learning to win, learning to lose gracefully. So I have fun in doing what I do because I get to touch hearts and change lives in a positive way. And that's what service is all about for me.
Looking at it and hearing some of the explanations, and I wanted you to go a bit deeper into the Empower, especially. We'll circle around to that. We're seeing a very holistic approach here now, not just to sport, but to youth development. And I'm glad that you mentioned that in terms of the education system, there's not just the one way. You can be a sports sportsman, you can't excel in your schoolwork. These policies in terms of, and I'm drilling this down a bit now to Tobago West, because I saw a lot. I actually had a conversation with a young man last week who was asking about the Empower program, and he was saying, you know, he really wanted to get into that program because he knew some guys who all they could do now is just they keep talking about it. As member of parliament for Tobago West, and you preside over the seniors, the young men, the young women, the children. How have these policies, have you seen it really impact directly the lives of the young men who would have participated? And what are some of the success stories coming out of it?
I think what is beautiful, interesting, rewarding, and fulfilling about Empower TT is we get to watch the growth and the transformation in youngsters who were unemployed, sitting on the side of the road doing just about nothing, and equipping them with life skills, putting them in the same space with older, experienced men to have real heart-to-heart conversations and to share experiences, to watch them develop that desire to want to change for the better and to do something more uplifting with their lives. That's inspirational even for me. You know, you have high school dropouts, those who didn't even get the chance to go to high school, persons who probably would have been on drugs. And let me tell you, it's not easy because you deal with people who have difficulty staying in a classroom setting. So you sometimes in the middle of a class, you would see the facilitator stop them and give them push-ups, and, you know, they teach them karate and all sorts. It's about really doing what we need to capture their attention and help them to transform. I've seen young men who were not working at the beginning of the program because it's basically for unemployed persons, and who are now working, who set up their own business. We had a young man who set up his business and got the opportunity to go defend his business proposal and seek opportunities in Dubai. So it's beautiful to watch. We've seen them started their own companies. We've seen youngsters working. A matter of fact, when I did a courtesy call with Secretary Joel Sampson, I think it was last week, one of the persons we met in the department working was a former Empower TT participant. Then at, I think it's at CNC3, we have an Empower TT participant working there too. Those who have gone on to start MIC, to get their different certificates and so on. So it's really good to see them change. And I mean, you won't get everybody, but at least once they have participated in the program, we know that they know better and they have other options. Most importantly, they have a shoulder to lean on. They can call the ministry, call the facilitator of the program. You have persons working in different stores, different areas, building their skills throughout Trinidad and Tobago and setting an example for others. I think when they go back to their communities and they tell their friends about the experience and they get excited, you see young men say, you know, I first got on board because of the stipend. I came for the stipend, but now here I am learning and growing, and I want to stay and I want to tell all my brethren and them. So it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. And
I think it has also lent to the fight against crime and criminality. Especially because it targets the young men. And I want to focus a bit away now from ministry. In Tobago here, we have seen, and I would have alluded to it earlier in the program, we even had a program where we called Feeling the Pain. A number of persons in Tobago have been literally under the gun, as they say on the streets, because of poor decisions made at the THA level and decisions made to victimize contractors and shut down industries and so on. As member of parliament, you sit in an office where you're responsible for the entire West constituency, 20,000+ persons. How do you cope or treat with the influx of persons coming with various needs? And I'm saying that against the backdrop of just in the office of the minority leader every day.
Yeah.
People are coming, some sitting and crying for you even before they start to speak. And we know it's hard, it's difficult for persons out here. How have you been able to manage that at your level where you sit and treating with issues?
It's been quite a challenge. Many of the problems that persons come to us seeking help are not items under the central government. Yeah, as member of parliament for Tobago West, we put persons in contact or in touch with the services offered by the central government. So you have the usual self-help application, home improvement, you name it, grants offered by the different ministries in central government, persons who need help with water, with light, and so on. We do that to the best of our ability, but the day-to-day, Tobagonians chose the PDP. Tobagonians chose this current crop of persons in the Tobago House of Assembly to lead them and to treat with their everyday needs, employment, education for their children, work for contractors and to develop economic activity. When they had the chance to choose, they chose this administration. And they are now learning their lessons. They're now learning their lessons. And let me tell you, I have no problem with people wanting a change. I believe that people have their reasons and they favor who and what they favor for whatever reasons. I believe in people having that freedom to make their choice. But when you make your choice, you have to live by it. And we must accept and appreciate that in the PNM, we were not perfect. We had made mistakes and causing the people to want to try something different. So you can't vex with the people for trying something different, So they've tried something different and they are not totally pleased. And you cannot totally please anybody. But it's important to stand by, to call wrong and right. There are persons who see wrong happening before their eyes and experiencing hurt, and they refuse to speak. Some of them because of shame. Yes, they made the decision, and now this is how it ended up, and they can't speak. They don't want to speak. Some are now saying they're just totally turned off by politics. But at the end of the day, it's about decisions. It's about choices. It's about people. It's very disheartening and disconcerting to watch our people suffer this way, because we believed what they told us on their campaign. Even some of the things they said they would fix, I and all believe. They ran a nice campaign. We must admit, they ran a solid, emotional campaign, vexing who they needed to vex, and touching the hearts of those who they needed to touch the hearts of. So we all bought into it. Many PNMites bought into it. And they say, you know what? I trying something different. You can't vex with them for trying something different. But now you've made this decision for 4 years and you have to live with that decision for 4 years. So it's sad. Certain things like, let's say, for instance, there are those who bash sandals, and even Watson Duke in his capacity as leader of the PDP at that time said, okay, don't bring sandals now, but when we come in, we go bring them. And that kind of attitude and what was done, it totally hurt the business of sandals. And they say, you see, we're not willing to chance our reputation like that. Let's go elsewhere. And we watch other countries benefiting. I'm not saying sandals is a magic bullet and it would have solved all our problems. But when you see young men and women coming to your office, they need help, they need training, they come to you for a job, they come for a work. And it's not only a work they need training, they need skills development and so on that could have easily been gotten through an establishment like a sandals. And when the tide rises, it lifts every boat, So at the end of the day, it would have redounded to increased economic activity, not only for sandals itself, but the entire tourism sector for Tobago and so on. And everything that the PNM tried to extend to the Tobago House of Assembly, they find a fault because they don't want it from the PNM. They don't want to say PNM have given Tobago X or Y. So they bash it for bashing its sake. And that really is unfortunate because as politicians, we are just passing through. All of us, PNM side, TPP side, PDP side, the people who now going around looking for new members and so on, texting people phone, asking them to come meeting and they will give them money and all kind of thing. At the end of the day, as politicians, we are all passing through, and our business is to leave Tobago better than we met it by implementing programs and providing opportunities for persons in their different communities and so on. And it's unfortunate. Even we look at internal self-government, we have done the bulk of the work. I'm saying it's not perfect. You would never get 100% consensus from everybody on all points, but we've exhausted the situation to the point that we said this is what the parliamentarians of today are willing to extend. And there are those who look at it and they know that it is much better than what we have serving us now, Act 40 of 1996, but they because the PNM is offering it, they prefer to throw the baby out with the bathwater and take nothing. So they're telling people, don't take little and live long. Nobody said to anybody to take little and live long. So what are you saying to them? Keep the little you have and try to live long? Because we know Act number 40 of 1996 can't do much, can't get us to where we want to be as Tobagonians. So it's political playing around with people's minds, their lives and their livelihoods, and it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, it's about the children or grandchildren, the generation to come. I'm 42. I'm no longer youth, you know, and many of us out here making decisions, no longer youth, but the decisions we made are going to tremendously impact the lives of the youngsters coming up. Yeah.
Many persons don't understand how we got to this point by way of the GSC and so on. And so there is the narrative, what some people are trying to create, that nobody wasn't really truly consulted, and that this process, it just got here and there are a lot of things that were left out. I know you would have been integral in the process going forward. Explain to us a bit of what was the work of the GSC and what it took to bring us to this particular point. Just on that as well, something that I heard is that a lot was adjusted. You know, they keep trying to sow different seeds. So I want you to clear that up a bit for us, for those of us who weren't present for the journey.
Yeah. An interesting thing is I was present for the journey. In 2004, Ashworth Jack, in his capacity as minority leader, brought a motion to the House, and the PNM-led Tobago House of Assembly agreed with this motion to pursue internal self-government, ask the government to pursue internal self-government for Tobago. And later on, it was further developed to getting the John Prince Committee on board, consultations far and wide, so that Tobago could speak to the central government with one voice, as this is the Tobago position, because we recognize it was being politicized. And we say, you know what? Mr. Orville London said, if we as Tobagonians could speak to Trinidad and to central government with one voice, it would redound to all our benefit. You can't politicize it when we've all taken off our political cloaks and decided to come together and say, this is what we want. And we follow the consultations, over 42 consultations done throughout Tobago and Trinidad too, to come up with this position. Over the years, the different drafting of it, some people got some points in, some people didn't quite get their point in, you know, but at the end of the day, it was a give and take. And we drafted something that spoke to the consensus among us as Tobagonians. And in 2016, in October 2016, Mr. London, they sent it to the central government, because we in the PNM, we said we are going to make this our priority, and we intend to grant internal self-government to Tobago and honor the aspirations of the Tobagonian. So it came to us at the end of 2016. Over the year 2017, the members of parliament had the opportunity to, you know, get familiar with it, those who had not been a part of the consultations over the years. And in 2018, we submitted it to the Parliament. Now, before submitting it to the Parliament, any bill you submit to the Parliament has to go to the CPC. So you submit your policy and your draft to the CPC, and they would craft it into a legalese or something that is suited for the Parliament. They would make sure that what you're recommending is not in any major contradiction with the law of the land and so on. So, of course, the CPC would have shaped what we had submitted to them in order to place it before the Parliament. And when it came to the Parliament, we got a joint select committee was established. Members of the government, members of the opposition, members of the independent benches, in order to study, to research, to engage the legal luminaries, to engage the different intellectual persons towards getting more advice and so on the topic. So we spent from 2018 to 2020, we saved the work because we were speaking with consultants from the United Nations, UNDP, Wales, Ireland, Scotland, the different parliaments and countries that had similar experiences, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua, Barbuda, you name it. Any comment submitted was ventilated and discussed and considered, So in 2021, when we came up with our first draft, that's in the 12th Parliament. So we saved the work of the 11th Parliament for the 12th Parliament. And we came to Tobago in 2018, in June of 2018, and consulted the people of Tobago, opening up for them to submit all their comments and their concern. Every single comment and concern submitted from 2018 to 2021 was considered, because after that we came back, was considered, ventilated. We got to the intellectuals asking, what do you think about this? Could you advise? Any little thing. It could be man at the side of the street. Once you submitted a comment, it was taken seriously. So after doing that work in 2021, we came back to the House because the committee had ventilated everything that was sent to us. We came back to Tobago on, I think it's April 30th. And we consulted with stakeholders, the Tobago House of Assembly of the day. At that time, there was the 6-6. And on the day after, on May 1st, we consulted with the wider public and opened up once again. For those who said, here, we want to consult our people once again. We want to talk to our people once again. We want the opportunity again. So from 2021 to date, that's 3 years. The legislation had been at the Parliament, the entire study, 749 pages. So you can see everything that all the legal luminaries and all the experts had to say to us. So anybody who had to consult anybody and anybody who wanted to submit something could have done so. So here we are in the final year of this government's term in this session, ready to bring it back to the Parliament. We're at a committee of the whole. And many say, why didn't you take a vote the last time you debated it? And that's because if you take a vote and it's not passed, we recognize we wouldn't have gotten the support of the opposition to pass it, because of course the PNM central government with only 22 seats, we can't pass it alone. You need 31 votes. You need a 3/4 majority to change anything in the constitution. And we have only 22 seats in the Parliament, in the lower house, only 22 votes. So, we know we have to get at least 9 from across the floor. And, we are encouraging, the Tobago House of Assembly the assemblymen in the Tobago House of Assembly to encourage their UNC friends to give support if they truly care about Tobago and about granting internal self-government. So there are those who said there were changes. Of course there were changes, because you submitted X and we placed it before the legal luminaries, the experts and so on, and they guided us accordingly to say, if you want to remain a unitary state, because that is what we said. We didn't say we wanted to secede. We didn't want to secede. We were not talking about a federal government at that time. Yeah. We saw federalism as something we can aspire to in the future, because we know we wanted to strengthen our economy before we got to that stage. And We didn't speak to secession. What was very clear, we said we want to remain a part of the unitary state of Trinidad and Tobago. 2 islands, 1 country, 1 unitary state. So in some of the language that we sent to central government, used terms that you would use if you're looking to secede. Yeah, or you won't use these terms if you want to remain a unitary state.
Okay.
So we were guided accordingly. I say, okay, if you want to define Tobago waters versus Trinidad waters, then that is something you do when you want to separate, when you want to secede. The sea is seen as a unifying element. So there are no Tobago waters or no Trinidad waters. All the waters belong to all of us in Trinidad and Tobago because we are one unitary state. You know, and the different explanations are there in the 749 page document. And it's so simple. It's easy for anybody and everybody to understand. I think what our assemblymen know and what the naysayers know is that many Tobagonians not going and pull out that document to read. Many Tobagonians jump on the bandwagon and say, if my electoral district person, my area rep say so, I jump in on board that. And they wicked and they trying to suffer Tobagonians and all that kind of crazy stuff, you know. But if you pull it out and you read it, or you pay attention and you ask your own questions and conduct your own research, you would see all the work there, all the different positions and why the Joint Select Committee, the Chief Parliamentary Council, the members of staff of the Parliament, they try to tell you this is a PNM position and this is a PNM thing. All of us from the different sides of the fence, we sat in Joint Select Committee day and night and drill into this work. Even the parliamentary staff, and they were so proud about the work that they were doing because they felt like they were offering something, doing something towards bettering the development of Tobago. And here we are in this political battle, you know, trying to get the people's work passed. You hear so many people saying, the people of Tobago don't want this, or the people. When the people of Tobago tell you that?
Exactly.
Well, when did you
When did you
consult them? You
consult?
have all these different perspectives and what you think the people of Tobago want, and you have not done a consultation. There's a lot of talk going on out there, but let me tell you, it takes belly, it takes grit, it takes perseverance, and commitment to really go out there and do 42 consultations. I remember going from consultation to consultation, the Tobago parties. There was a forum of political parties that had Ho Choi Charles and Orville London and, you know, different persons on board. They had even invited Farley to join them when he came on board with Watson and they, and he did not join. You know, but they went from place to place in rain and so on, talking to people. I remember being at Mason Hall Government School. I think it was Mason Hall Secondary, and we sat in that hall until 12 something in the morning having these conversations. In addition to that, the conference of about 600 persons at Signal Hill Second. There were people from all walks of life, different parties and so on, offering their opinion, just really wanting to get this done for Tobago. So to be in this place today where we are trying to say Tobago people want something different just because the political tides have changed, and to put to rest or to redound to nothing over 20 years of consultation and research and consulting the experts and so on. At the end of the day, we have to understand that what we require or what we are asking for requires a change in law. The only place law can be changed is in the parliament. The parliament is made up of 41 seats in the lower house, and you need 31 of those 41 votes, or 31 of those 41 persons to say yes. So there's a whole lot of political foolishness and hogwash about, let's get the 2 Tobago seats and we're going to grant you internal self-government. That is tricking up people who depend on you for leadership, and you know you're lying to the people, because 2 votes, 2 seats cannot carry you over. 2 seats cannot carry you over, not even the 22 that we have right now. You need 31 votes to carry you over to pass in the lower house. And then when you get to the upper house, you need about 22 votes, of which the PNM only has about 15. Yeah, so you need 7-8 persons from on the other side, whether it's independent or opposition persons. Then we have to understand that if Tobago could have passed this legislation, we would have done so already by ourselves, because we had already consulted far and wide. We know what we want as Tobagonians. Yeah? So if we could have done this by ourselves, then we would have done that. We wouldn't have to ask central government nothing. Yeah? We wouldn't have to ask central government for anything. But the truth and the fact is, and the reality is, and we have to be honest with Tobagonians, is we have to convince the other 39 persons in their seats in Trinidad who have their own interest. And I am happy that Dr. Rowley went as far to getting every member of his cabinet and of his government to agree. Now it's up to getting the opposition and the independents to agree that this is what Tobago wants, and this is the best that we can offer Tobago at this time. So there are those who say, it's not exactly what we want. Robinson himself, the architect, did not get exactly what he wants. He went to the parliament in 1977, and in 1980 he took what was the best he could have got past the parliament of that day. And so then we made another push again in with Act 40 of 1996. And even with that, and Robinson have served as president, he served as prime minister, the highest offices of the land. So if you, the architect, served in these high offices, if it was so easy, then he would have gotten it done. So we know it's not as easy as they try to make it out to be, and you won't get it passed by cussing the central government and cussing Trinidadians and so on. It's about really negotiating, consulting, doing the research, and seeing how far you can push the current parliamentarians of the day. So I would recommend to Tobagonians that make that comparison. What we have now, Act 40 of 1996 versus what is before the Parliament in a committee of the whole. Is it better? Can we make it any better than it already is? Is there any matter that we haven't exhausted, ventilated, considered? And see what's the best we can get to set the young people on an even better platform towards federalism or whatever they so desire in their time. So it's unfortunate to see all this work put in, and it looks like we're gonna lose the work. And if we don't get the votes when the committee resumes, it's just gonna be a sad day for all of us as Trinbagonians and everybody who were consulted and put in the work, and those who have died. The Reggie Dumas, the Joy Charles, to not see anything accomplished out of this process that we have put so much heart and sweat and tears, and argue with our husbands for being out late at night in consultation. We Tobagonians, we carried this thing, man. We carried this thing over the years, and that is something that we have to tell and show our youngsters, so they know that we're not sleeping on this thing. All of us from all walks. I remember sitting in the rooms with Crystal, Gift, Deborah Moore, McGinnis, you name it. Yeah. Everybody was on board and gung-ho. We were all asking for all sorts that we thought were possible at that time. For instance, we say we want 200 exclusive economic zone, or 200 miles, 200 miles, and so on. But when we consulted the legal luminaries, they said, if you want to remain a unitary state, trying to do that way, that means you're trying to separate. Yeah? And there's more to lose in separating. And we have to remember that when if this exercise is towards realizing the aspirations of the people we have consulted over the years, they did not ask to separate. Yeah. So don't try to foist or force secession or secession-like type of arrangements on them. If you're considering secession today or different economic or social arrangement, then you have to go back out there and really consult the people and get their permission to take something as the parliament. So what we're doing today is based on a process, and it's based on a journey, and it's based on the contribution on this matter. Now, in trying to shift the goalpost to say, well, if we don't get a federation, We want nothing. We don't want it. That's not so, because that is not what the consultations were about, and that is not what we had submitted to central government. You're shifting the goalposts. You're being dishonest with the people. I think you don't want it because you don't want it. You don't want it from the PNM. Yeah, some people, they don't want something. They want it, but they don't want it from the PNM. Yeah. No. Even in some bad treatment, they would take bad treatment from Fali and them, and they ain't taking no bad treatment from the PNM. It's just interesting. But I must say, being on board the journey, being in the politics over the years, there are so many lessons learned. From everything. I try to find the good in everything. And when Tobagonians decided to change their minds in 2021, there were lessons to be learned even in that too. So I don't frown upon that. We had our turn, 20 years, and now they have their turn in this term, and it's the people to judge. At the end of the day, it should be about development for Tobago. Yeah. It should be about positivity for Tobago and what we are extending to our children and leaving for our children. We really have to look at what is being offered to us today. Is this really the change that we voted for? Is this really the fixing? Say we go fix this, we go fix that. Are they delivering on their promise? Are Tobagonians better off today than they were then? Do business persons have access to business opportunities? Are contractors in Tobago being developed? Or small businessmen benefiting from contractual work and developing their entrepreneurial skills? Or is it all being given to Central and South Trinidad in exchange for what was given to them to help them win their election? And these are questions that Tobagonians have to ask themselves. When we get our allocation, are we using it to the best of our ability? So no matter who sits in the seat, whether it's PNM, PDP, TPP, whatever they call themselves, Tobagonians have to look at what is best for Tobago and make sure that we speak up when it is wrong. Not speak up when it's wrong for PNM and when it's TPP or PDP or whoever, you're staying quiet. You know, we can't be hypocrites. We can't be hypocrites. We have to keep Tobago front and center, close to our heart, and in all we do our best for the development of our children and the generations to come, because they are counting on us. They can't vote. Yeah, they're counting on us to make the right decisions.
MP, we are never out of words on this program, but somehow we always seem to be out of time. Yes. Closing remarks. I know there's so much you want to say, but I want you to issue that clarion call, especially for the support of this autonomy bill. Yeah.
I would say to Tobagonians, this is our journey. This is a Tobago journey. We have fought over the years to get us to this point. And what is before the Parliament, what is being offered to Tobago, is certainly different and better than what we have Act 40 of 1996. And I want Tobagonians to read for themselves, ask the questions, do your own research, and don't just jump on any political bandwagon. Get the facts. People telling you about trillions of dollars of gas in the sea and so on. We have to do our research to really say how much is there, what is there, and can it be brought to production? Because it's not only about identifying gas, it's about bringing it to production. What are we doing as Tobagonians to put us in a place to develop what we say is in the sea for us, about developing platforms, about doing the research? We had PRDI built and developed. Are we doing that kind of research for us to really say to Trinidad or central government that this is exactly what we're bringing to the table? This is what has come forth for production. This is the kind of exploration that was done. This is what we think is ours, as we say, you know. So we have to do the research to make a stronger point towards economic development, and it's a journey. Just like development and lawmaking, it's a journey. You go from stride to stride, step to step, every step along the way. And for Tobagonians, let's just remember, it's about Tobago. It's all about Tobago, doing the best that we can for a better Tobago for all Tobagonians. Politicians come and go, but it's about improving our quality of life and making sure that there are opportunities for all, no matter what side of the fence you sit, no matter what color you vote on election day. It's about opportunities for all Tobagonians first.
Very well said. I can't add or take away But I can say that we are opening an invitation, hopefully in the near future, for you to return and let's continue some of these discussions.
Yes,
you know
certainly.
that the bill is soon to come, but we really want to get further into some of these discussions as we build out the benefits to Tobago and Tobagonians going into this next phase, and historical, I must add, because as you indicated, the journey took some time, and you all
Certainly
took
did.
the time to really package where we at now. So, Member of Parliament for Tobago West, MP, Minister Shamfa Kojo Lewis, thank you so much for
My
coming as
pleasure.
usual.
My
A
pleasure.
lot of information.